Welcome to our Stage is Set presentation. And today we're going to be looking at World War I, the Great War, the war to end all wars, and especially the causes of World War I. And as you can see in this little presentation, we've got some great photographs, especially of the dog, the horse, machine guns, and also of the men standing in front of the soccer goal with the gas masks. One of the more interesting times as we look at the wars themselves. In this presentation, what we're going to be setting for the overview are the causes of the Great War, 5 major causes. The spark. Finally, the last part is the watch, summarize, and question, which will also be up for you to be able to answer later on. You can see in this little cartoon, the crime of the ages. Who did it? If you look closely in the background, there is a woman laying on her deathbed with a dagger. That is Europa, as she is being blamed for starting up the World War I. And you can see in the left-hand side the large hand pointing towards Europa, as if though that might be another key player in this war. Each of the little figurines you can see has a name next to it. Those are blaming other representatives of starting World War I. Take a close look at Italy. In the bottom right-hand corner, they're just chilling. We'll talk a little bit about them in another presentation. The first cause of World War I, militarism. If you're taking notes, that's the letter M, militarism. No nation wanted to have an enemy that had a stronger military than what they had already possessed. And as you can see, we've got the tank, which was later used as a key figure. We've got the U-boat down there in the bottom right-hand corner. And then finally, we've also got the machine gun. Big thing, the machine gun was one of the more deadliest weapons in this war. Militarism, you also have the second bullet point, the development of armed forces. One of your vocabulary terms, conscription, meaning that there was a draft. You also have the country with the most guns was the most powerful. Again, I've underlined machine gun because that was one of the more deadly uses of killing people in World War I. The second cause is the alliances. These alliances were agreements that were made to aid each other in the case one was attacked. Most nations would sign a secret alliance. You can see here in this little diagram, we've got blue, red, purple, teal colors, and you can see closely that each of them formed some type of an alliance, and it got very confusing as to who was on which side. So in some cases, people were making deals behind the others' backs, causing there to be a little bit of a problem. In those alliances, big ones are the Triple Alliance. You have Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire. The second major alliance was the Triple Entente. And you have Great Britain, France, and Russia. That's important to remember because a lot of these countries had fierce rivalries in trying to take over other areas, especially in the continent of Africa. The third cause is nationalism, and this is the devotion to their nation and their cultures of one nation. This led to rivalries between nations. The strongest area in which this happens is the Balkan area. We have the Ottoman Empire conflicting, that would include Albanians, Greeks, Romanians, Slavs, and this would last for over 400 years. Then you also have a small independent nation called Serbia that was starting to pop up and rise to power. Very religious, very prideful, and they also wanted to take control of other areas. And so they actually went in and they caused some hostilities in Bosnia. This happens to be in the early 1900s. This became the big area of conflict, was the Balkan area. And here's kind of the powder keg illusion that you can kind of see with the Balkans. And here in this picture, you notice that there's a gentleman holding what appears to be a rifle, and you can also see that there is a powder keg about to explode and cause there to be an uprise. The next letter, which is the fourth major cause, is imperialism, and virtually all major powers were engaged in this scramble to gain more power. The fiercest competition, I want you to take note, was between Britain and Germany. Britain and Germany were trying to take over more land in parts of the continent of Africa. And here in the picture, you notice that there's Africa and many different flags. Well, in that particular region, Britain and Germany were the two more powerful ones, and they were the ones taking over more land. Now, the spark that caused World War I was the assassination. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was next to be on the throne for Austria, visits Bosnia Sarajevo. And on this visit, it was to be a peaceful visit. He and his wife, who's pictured, Sophia, were on their visits just to make it a peaceful parade. Well, what they didn't know was there was a small group of men, of what a lot of people called anarchists, and their name was the Black Hand. This young gentleman, pictured to the right, that is Gabriel Princip. He was the member of this group, and he stood out in the crowd and he shot both Archduke Franz Ferdinand and Sophia. Both of them were assassinated. Now, there's a cool story that goes along with it where the motorcade took a wrong turn, and the bodyguard was actually trying to help protect Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, and he actually jumps out and he takes a bullet himself, later surviving, and that story is a great one for another time. Gabriel Princip would be then arrested. He would be tried later on, and there would be some problems as to where he would be imprisoned, whether it would be there in Sarajevo or if they would take him to another location because of his infamous crime of assassinating Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Now, the domino effect. Austria-Hungary then blames Serbia for Ferdinand's death and declares war upon Serbia. This would then spark more problems. Germany would then pledge their support to Austria-Hungary. Russia pledges their support to Serbia, so now we have a rivalry, alliances starting to pile up. Germany would then declare war upon Russia. France pledges their support for Russia. Germany declares war on France. Germany then invades Belgium on the way to France. And finally, Great Britain supports Belgium and declares war on Germany. And this would spark up the World War I.